Hello everybody, my name is Aud and welcome back to the Aud Narrations channel. Today we're reading a story titled, My Partner of 8 Years Polybombed Me and Had an Affair, then attributed it to her need to live authentically. As always, if you enjoy these videos and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button, that way you won't miss the latest upload. Alrighty, let's make a start. I'm unsure how much attention this will get, but I just need to vent, and I want to see if there are any perspectives that I'm not considering. Back last November, my wife, 3.5 years married, but together for 8.5, brought up the topic of polyamory. She had broached the idea of a threesome a few times over the years, never making a big deal about it when I said that I wasn't comfortable with it. But when it came up again in November, I was in a different mindset and was interested in getting past my insecurities and growing as a person. She said she only wanted someone she saw a few times a month and didn't have any romantic feelings for. Background info, she falls in love within a matter of weeks. So anyway, we both got on apps. She made plans for a date, and I was coming down from whatever high I was on the month before that caused me to be so optimistic. So I wasn't super interested in pursuing someone for myself. She goes on the date right as my mental health took a nosedive and I panicked over it and asked to stop. She was very hesitant and didn't want to stop talking to the person, but agreed. I found out a week later that she was still talking to her. I asked again if she could stop so we could do some of the work necessary for better communication with this, so I could recalibrate. Again, she was hesitant, and again, she hid things from me. I never had any reason at all not to trust her before this. Our communication needed work, but overall, we had a great relationship, and she was always telling me how in love with me she was and how I'd be with her forever, as always. Despite her missteps, I wanted to have faith in her ability to learn from these mistakes and do better, so when she asked to get back on apps, just to find friends that she could talk to about poly experiences, I was hesitant, but hopeful it would help her. Soon after that, she hung out with a girl once or twice that I'm aware of, and the second time it really looked like a date. So I confronted her about it and asked if she had feelings after 3 weeks and 2 dates, because I know her, and she admitted to it. We fought, but I thought that she'd agreed to end all contact while we were still learning and figuring out our needs. It was around this time that she told me that she was polyamorous by orientation, which completely blindsided me and didn't make a whole lot of sense, if I'm being honest. But I tried to be patient. She was trying to figure out if that meant that she couldn't be with me. A few months pass, and after doing a lot of work and introspection about my own ability to be comfortable with a poly partner, and being honest with myself about my own limitations in practicing ethically, I told her that I could not be with someone that wasn't willing to be monogamous. I needed the security of a consistent partner, and that I'd really struggle with my mental health without that. At least at this point in my life, I'd put my whole heart into trying to be someone that I ultimately couldn't become. I really tried, because I really love her. She was insistent about her identity, but then made it very clear that she wasn't willing to end our relationship and wanted to find a way to be monogamous with me. I should have known where this was going to go, but after 8 years of happiness and love, ending things felt impossible for both of us. During this time, she was very snippy with me for no reason, helped very little around the house like she used to, and was much less affectionate, and took her phone with her everywhere. When I would express concerns that she was hiding something from me, she would get mad and imply that I was being paranoid or controlling. Classic. She did this so much that I began to think the paranoia was a symptom of my mental health and I needed to talk to my psych about med changes. I did end up changing my meds for this reason. The paranoia didn't go away. The changes in her behaviour were so insidious that it was hard to pinpoint what was different and what caused it. I never snooped in her phone because I wanted to respect her privacy and truly thought I was just being paranoid. And she never left it sitting out anyway. In July, I FaceTimed her because her location was showing a weird place. She was in her car, and I asked her to show me the passenger seat and the back seats. She refused, and insisted it was just because she felt like she had no control over anything. After hanging up, I said fuck it, and got out our computer to access her messages. And there it was. Huge proclamations of love, sexting, and I want to be with you forever, etc. So, we had a couple of D-days. Every time she's unwilling to provide the transparency necessary to rebuild trust on the basis of privacy and autonomy, progressively more empathetic and remorseful, which gave me a tiny bit of hope that it would get better. But again, it wasn't like our relationship was on the rocks prior to all of this. At this point, she was trying to make the decision to stay or leave. Would never tell me where she was with that. Couldn't communicate her feelings and wasn't engaging with me in attempts to salvage what was left. Even if she decided to leave, I wanted things to end amicably. Last week, she forced my hand, said something that made me finally think that she was going to pull the plug, so I decided to do it. She very quickly agreed. Next day I found out she'd still been talking to this woman, who is also poly, with a non-poly, I think, another partner. My gut hasn't been wrong this far, and we were divorcing anyway, so I hid an audio recorder thinking if I knew she was still lying to me, it would be a lot easier to let go. She's still trying to hang on. She's the one crying constantly and asking if we could heal from this. And my answer was no. As much as I didn't want it to be, I feel so ashamed that I let this go on for so long, and also just so devastated that this is what it's come to. One of the things that I asked her repeatedly was how she expected to practice ethically if she couldn't even be honest and communicate with me. And on top of that, repeatedly lying pretty convincingly. How is she going to be able to respect boundaries if she thinks that everyone's boundaries aren't really fair? How is she going to be able to meet several partners' needs when she did that so poorly with me while she was up this girl's ass and over her head with NRE? A new relationship energy, I think, which I wonder in the beginning would be one of her weaknesses. And all of this while insisting she loves me with all her heart. I'm the love of her life, and she still wants to be with me forever, but also she needed to be who she was and live authentically? Question mark. I'm just sick to my stomach, heartbroken, and bitter towards polyamory, which I know is dumb, because this is a her problem and not a problem with polyamory itself. I just need to vent, and I'm wondering about everybody's thoughts regarding her identity and her seeming lack of respect and self-control. Is she capable of actually handling a polyamorous structure, regardless of his identity? I think actually what's going on here is she's using poly to get away with stuff. I'm not going to say she's a narcissist, for example, but a narcissist, for example, would probably approach it this way, in the sense of like they want to do it how they want to do it, and too bad if you're the other person. Again, with the gaslighting and stuff as well, you know, got the taste for this like freedom in a sense, and then couldn't let it go because from their perspective, they don't really see themselves doing anything wrong. Tricky, tricky, tricky. Sorry to interrupt the video, but as it turns out, only about 5% of my viewers are actually subscribed. It would really help out the channel if you would hit the subscribe button for me. Thank you so much in advance. Right, let's have a look at the comments. Someone's left a comment saying, regardless of polyamorous or by orientation or choice, she did everything way, way wrong. She cheated as well. She gaslit you, making you think that you were paranoid to the point of getting your medication changed. She didn't do polyamory. She cheated. She lied and actively hurt you by making you think that it was a facet of your mental health issues. There's no longer any trust to repair in your relationship with her. For there to be trust to repair, there still has to be trust. Based. Completely agree. Someone replied, saying, I agree that there's nothing left to repair. She acknowledges she cheated and it wasn't polyamory, but that cheating led her to realise that she was polyamorous. Do you think that cheating is a legitimate way to find yourself? I tend to think that if something leads you to compromise your values, it isn't for you, and I'm sure many people would disagree. Someone replied saying, this is a hot topic of debate for some people, but for me it's very simple. Polyamory isn't an orientation in the same way as gay or straight. Polyamory is a choice because it includes ethical behaviour. Ethical behaviour has to be, by definition, by choice. Oops, I'm feeling more than one person is not polyamory. It's just human nature to feel attraction for people you're attracted to. That attraction does not equal polyamory. Someone replied saying, this really recontextualized the long-term relationship I just got out of after 8 years. She wasn't just practicing poly poorly towards the end there. She wasn't practicing poly at all because she wasn't putting any effort into being ethical. Not anymore. I needed to hear this worded this way. OP replied, saying, that's a great point and a very interesting way to think about it going forwards. I agree that everyone's experiences attraction to multiple people, and we're all capable of loving more than one person romantically at a time. That part has been why I've been so hung up on the idea of poly as an innate orientation, but I'll stay open to other ideas about the subject. Someone else left a comment saying, she should be identifying as an asshole because that's what she is. Polyamory is so much more than crushes. It is managing multiple relationships and accepting that your partner will love and fuck others. She has done none of the work, has had no experience with poly, and so far failed miserably. She can identify as anything she wants, but she is likely doing it as a coercive tactic. Exactly. Someone replied saying, I'm not sure she even knows the difference between a need to live authentically and a want. To be able to do whatever and never have anyone impose boundaries on her. It's not my place to tell her who she is, but it has always seemed off to me. Maybe I just truly don't understand, I'm not sure. Someone left another comment saying, damn, I'm really sorry you're dealing with this. I'm also really sorry that she blame shifted and used things like honesty and integrity in polyamory and your desire to grow as tools to try and manipulate you into accepting her behavior/harm without consequences. Because that's really what those things were for her. I mean, I don't know, I'm just a stranger on the internet, but none of that is real polyamory with communication boundaries or ethical limits. As you pointed out so maturely, this whole thing sucks, and I can understand why you'd feel so bitter, heartbroken, and frustrated. You have nothing to be ashamed about, especially not for doing your part, especially not for doing your best to be supportive and getting taken advantage of / dealt with in bad faith. This was not caused by your actions. Dishonesty, cheating, and shitty behavior happens in polyamory too, because selfish people who won't own up to their shit make bad partners in any form. Please try and be kind and patient with yourself, and go at your own pace. There's no right way to recover from being treated like this, except to know that it wasn't you. Nothing anyone could do would make them expect / deserve that from a partner. This is a huge breach of trust or love, and it's perfectly reasonable to be reeling from that for a while and have a lot of feelings come at you sideways. Just breathe through it and don't let it become who you are just because bad things are happening to you. Someone replied saying, trying not to be jaded for sure, but I've also never been so sure of someone's trustworthiness prior to this. Never once doubted that. If I had 8 years of that and then out of nowhere her values changed, who can I trust? That's just my fear, even though it isn't really logical. I really appreciate your words of support and encouragement though. Thank you. Someone replied saying, you can't read people's minds. It's not fair to expect that you would have somehow sensed this. When real effort was made to deceive you, it's possible that everything was fine all those years and there wasn't any indication or conscious choice to get here. Don't hold yourself responsible for these things that happened to you. Heart emoji. I totally get the feeling that you could have known better. I do the same thing to myself. You deserve kindness and healing though. Someone left another comment saying, she gaslit you so bad you literally changed your medication. I don't know if I have words to express how severe this is. I think you need to get some weekly therapy about this specifically because you've tolerated horrible behavior. You deserve so much more than this. OP replied saying, already been in therapy for years, and we did couples therapy for about a month and a half after this came to light, but it became apparent that the therapist was just letting us hash out the same discussions we had at home and wasn't really doing anything else. Right. Yeah, it's a really tricky one to be fair. I think the comments here sort of explain the right thing to do, in the sense of that she has absolutely used you and your good faith in bad faith, and probably best to just drop her and move on. But what do you think OP should do? What would you do in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed these videos and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button, that way you won't miss the latest upload. Alrighty, we'll have to finish there for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.